Hello and welcome to Breakfast All Day. I'm Matt. Christy is at her house. Alonso's at his house. I'm in my backyard. And we have some news for you this week. I'm going to apologize up front. I have no marquees. Not a lot of people sent them in. I don't know if anyone. I've been really busy this week, so I didn't find any myself. So just news this time. Sorry. But Christy, take it away.
But we welcome marquees if you were out and about in the wild.
Yeah.
You should be staying home and staying safe. So my news for you this week, I'm going to begin with coronavirus. We've been talking about the election quite a bit the last few weeks, but really the news this week is this incredible spike we're seeing across the country in coronavirus cases. Yesterday, there were like 190,000 new cases all across the country. It is crazy. Tens of thousands of people hospitalized. It is peaking way higher than it was at the beginning of this thing. It is so much worse. It is exactly what Dr. Fauci warned us about when he said, fall is going to come, the holidays are going to come, the colder temperatures are going to come, and it's going to be worse. That's exactly what is happening.
And we haven't even hit Thanksgiving yet.
We haven't. And that's the thing is like Thanksgiving is coming. And so the CDC has warned people, do not travel, like do not have Thanksgiving gatherings if you can absolutely avoid it. And I think we all can. I think for this 1 year, we all can. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, and this year, like, aside from the election, what do we really have to be thankful for?
Did you guys see the headline of like small Thanksgiving gatherings will lead to smaller Christmas funerals?
No.
Like,
well, there's that thing the thing that Trump's main coronavirus guy, Scott Atlas, is saying, like, you should go spend Thanksgiving with your elderly loved ones because it could be the last one.
Well, yeah, especially if you spend it with them. Jesus.
Yeah, that's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
That's like the shittiest marketing campaign ever. Thanksgiving, it could be their last one. I mean,
yeah, the late show with Colbert did a whole line of Dr. Atlas Thanksgiving cards, like just like the ladle, soon you'll be in the gravy, you know, like it's, yeah.
Thanksgiving is supposed to be about thanks, not giving someone the coronavirus.
It's really bad right now. And California is about to go into a state of a curfew again. The vast majority of California is going to be back into purple if they ever got out of purple. We here in LA County never got out of purple, but a lot of places, you know, are going to have to close down non-essential businesses again. There's going to be a curfew starting, I think, tonight from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. Not that it affects any of the three of us, but
I was going to a midnight movie.
For people who are out and about in the world that late, I mean, I guess if you have a job that requires you to be out that late,
here's an object lesson. Like, you have a pandemic that the government could make big inroads into making the numbers better by paying people to stay at home. Yeah. And will they do that? No. And will the next government do that? Probably not, because I bet you dollars to donuts that once the Biden administration kicks in, Republicans, after spending like drunken sailors for 4 years, are suddenly going to be very concerned about deficits.
Oh, they do that every time. Every fucking time.
And Biden is already signaling that he's going to fall for that shit, which means we're going to go into an austerity thing that's going to make everything worse. And again, I'm sorry to be the broken record on this one. The next fascist is going to know what they're doing.
Yes. So it's a bad time right now. It really is. And, there is a vaccine. Who knows how soon we can get it? It's a 2-pronged vaccine. Yes, Matt.
There are two vaccines.
Right. There's the Moderna one.
And the Pfizer one.
And there's the Pfizer one. But who knows when people could start getting it? Did you guys see this thing where Geraldo Rivera suggested we should name the vaccine for Trump? God, like it became a shorthand. Like, have you gotten your Trump yet this year?
Yeah.
I got my Trump.
Yourself, Geraldo Rivera and Donald Trump.
Yeah, we all did. We all got fucked.
Oh my God. And it'd be a nice tribute to him is what Geraldo said.
Yeah, because he's done so much so well.
Did he pull that idea out of Al Capone's vault?
But and we will be talking about the Untouchables this week. The thing about also that even the vaccine happening is going to be the government is going to have to spend money on a coordinated effort, use the National Guard or whatever else they can to like get it out there and get it to the people, and not just the people in the big cities, but out in the country and in the various far-flung corners of this country.
So it's also going to be complicated because both vaccines have to be kept at very, very, very low temperatures.
I think it's just one of them, right? I don't think it's both.
No, I think Moderna has to be right. What I had read, or
one has to be cold, one has to be really cold.
Yeah, one has to be like below zero. And then the other one has to be like 70 below zero. And the thing is, what's difficult about that is it's not like you could just call up somebody like Coke or Budweiser and say, hey, we need to take over your distribution system. Nobody's set up to mass distribute something that needs to stay that cold. Mm-hmm. So that's going to be a whole other fucktastrophe.
What about Haagen-Dazs?
It's not minus 70.
Just a thought. Okay, no, you're right.
So that is going on. So that would seem like a ray of hope in the middle of all this. And yet there are, as you guys point out, a multitude of complications surrounding that. Yes. So, but we have fleets now on Twitter to make us all feel better about things. So there are, if you look at your Twitter feed, at least
on mobile, fail me now.
And mobile, not on, I don't think it's on like a laptop, but like, it's like Instagram stories.
Yeah, like why
do we need this? No.
Why do all the social media networks try so hard to be uniform? Like the whole point of there being different ones is because they do different things. So it's like Facebook started with the stories, and now we have the fleets. And look, maybe it's because I'm a gay dude. I see the word fleet, I think something else entirely.
Yeah,
but anyway,
I think that too. Yeah.
Wait, what is fleet? What does that mean?
I'll tell you later.
I'll tell you now. It's an enema. It's
a brand name.
Oh,
Fleet. When you do an enema, like the most well-known brand is Fleet Enemas. So yes.
I guess that shows you how much I've had enemas.
I mean, I think it's sort of shorthand like Xerox, or
exactly.
Dumpster, or
Band-Aid.
Jet Ski.
Learn something new every day.
That's the first thing I thought.
And now you know.
The rest of the story.
So interestingly, speaking of, we do one more little coronavirus thing. Fox Corporation announced today that they're going to tell their employees to continue working from home until at least April. Now, this is who owns Fox News Channel and Fox Business and Fox Sports and the Fox Broadcasting Company. This is not 20th Century Fox, which Disney now owns. This is what was spun off of that once that merger went through. So it's interesting because on their actual programming, they're saying, get back to school and get back to work and open up. And they're telling their own employees to stay home for the next 6 months. Says CEO Lachlan Murdoch.
Well, and I would ask, is their audience even going to notice? But their audience is so mad that Fox isn't hopping aboard the whole, they stole the election bandwagon, that they're like apparently leaving the network in, I don't know about droves, but in dozens to go over to
covered wagons
or Newsmax instead. I don't know. But
so, in other news, election news, your home state, Alonso, Georgia, has once again certified that Biden won Georgia. So
yes,
thank you, Georgia.
As people have pointed out, the one upside to this whole nonsense is getting to watch Trump lose over and over again.
Are we tired of losing yet?
We can wait. I got to talk briefly, and maybe Matt, you can find a picture of this, of the batshit crazy news conference that Rudy Giuliani had yesterday, where he was sweating profusely and his hair dye was like dripping down his cheeks, and he looked like a marionette. It was very disturbing.
It was disconcerting.
It prompted many, many memes. And he was like referencing my cousin Vinny as part of his argument as to why Trump won.
God.
Anyway, it's a strange time we live in.
Aye.
But there is good news among the fact that Alonso will like this. Mariah Carey has a Christmas special coming out.
Woo!
You know about this?
Yeah, Jennifer Hudson's going to be on it.
Jennifer Hudson and Snoop Dogg and Ariana Grande and Tiffany Haddish
for HBO Max.
The weird thing with this, it's on Apple Plus.
Oh, Apple Plus, right? Sorry,
they're not playing All I Want for Christmas.
They might be. You know who's directing?
I think, who's directing it?
Roman Coppola.
Okay. I like CQ.
That just seems like a really interesting choice.
I mean, it's no Werner Herzog.
Sophia directed A Very Merry Christmas for Netflix. So,
okay. Okay. Other news. So this is, I guess, still partly coronavirus news. I got to jump back. There was a rally down here in the South Bay this past week that Vince Vaughn was the leader of to open up our schools in the South Bay. Vince Vaughn lives in Manhattan Beach and doesn't enjoy wearing masks.
Boo-hoo. And clearly doesn't want his kids at home either.
And wants his kids. Yeah, I would like my kid to go back to school as well. But
not that bad.
Actually,
perhaps
Gabe's
not
been
now.
Gabe's been pretty good. Yeah, actually, like he's been pretty chill.
Okay.
I've been somewhat surprised.
As somebody pointed out early in this process, maybe even last spring, that like the whole thing about taking kids out of school and trying to figure out other ways to educate them sort of goes to show how much of contemporary schooling basically exists as a means of control, as a means of like, like just sort of parking kids somewhere during the day so that their parents can work and like kind of, doing whatever sort of societal propagandistic indoctrination that happens in pretty much all educational systems.
Oh, we can't make the kids work? Well, we'll stick them someplace so that their parents can.
I would argue that there's a little more to it than that.
Granted.
There's a reason that kids need to be in school with each other, for socialization, to learn how to be decent little people. I will tell you that
from other little monsters
to be Lord of the Flies.
No, there is. I mean, trust me. I am not necessarily ready for schools to go back, but I do see that it takes a toll. The isolation takes a toll psychologically.
Well, sure, I bet. Yeah.
It's been 8 months, and my son, who is, as you guys know, is a crazy person and a happy, fun kid, is really bummed because he misses his friends. And so, I mean, I'm not saying go back yet because I don't think we're there, but I also sympathize with the difficulty of like having kids away from each other all the time.
No, of course. I can't imagine what going through something like this at the age of like 10 would be like.
Yeah. Speaking of, New York City schools closed again. New York City restaurants are open, but their schools are closed again.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Dolly Parton, though, donated $1 million to help fund the Moderna vaccine research. So that's who it should be named for.
Totally, yeah. To my alma mater, Vanderbilt Medical Center. That's where this is happening, yeah.
Very nice. So Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney bought a Welsh soccer team. Did you guys see this video this past week?
No.
It's called Wrexham AFC, WREXHAM. They are in Wales.
Oh, I thought it was like WRECKS.
Yeah.
Like all I want to do is zoom in a boom boom. That's on. They shot a really, really cute video for it. Go look at the Wrexham AFC Twitter feed about how they
wrecked him, damn near killed him.
Yes.
Wrexham Ralph.
So that's a cute thing. Michael B. Jordan is people's sexiest man alive.
Yes, he is.
Is that a good choice?
Yes, it is.
Have you seen Black Panther? Have you seen Creed?
I mean, I, for one, would maybe have leaned more toward Winston Duke, but I'm not mad at the Michael B. Jordan.
He is very handsome as well. Maybe next year. There's always next year.
Always next year. Yes.
Okay. So we have a lot of news as far as release date changes and where things are going and streaming or going out theatrically. The big news this week was that Wonder Woman 84 is going to open theatrically and it's going to stream on HBO Max on the same day on Christmas Day. This is a big deal. It's sort of unprecedented, I would say, for a film of this size.
I'd say I think it's generally unprecedented for a movie to be streaming. I know there's like these tiers now. There's sort of premium VOD and standard VOD. Like it is streaming on a subscription service, but doesn't require an extra payment and opening theatrically at the same time. That might be new. I mean, I think even Netflix stuff usually they'll do their theatrical first. Although I guess maybe they've done some simultaneous too. But yeah, for a movie this size, you're right, absolutely new. Yeah,
I mean, it is new of that size because if Warner Brothers had tried to pull that in a non-COVID environment, the wouldn't let it. The theaters would be like, all right, we're not showing any Warner movies for the next 10 years.
Yeah. Now, the 2020 is shaking up the whole thing, and I think the studios at the moment hold all the cards, and I'm sure I doubt there were any projections when they started creating things like Disney Plus and HBO Max and their own sort of personal, labels for this kind of thing, that this was coming down the road. But it certainly turned out to be like a wise decision on their part, because now it gives them a venue to sort of like make this stuff happen. And yeah, they can hold a gun to the distributors' head, or the exhibitors' heads rather, to go along with it.
I mean, not the movie theaters in LA County are opening anytime soon. I suspect that they will probably not be open still on Christmas Day if things are indeed going to continue to be as bad as they are trending lately. But like, given the ideal opportunity to go see Wonder Woman 84 in a theater, would you guys do that?
No, not right now.
Still,
no.
Yeah, you still wait. Mm-hmm.
At a drive-in, maybe, if I had a car that could make it to one.
Like, there's been a couple movies we saw this week that I would have really liked to have seen in the theater.
Sound of Metal.
And so, yeah, Sound of Metal, or even Run.
Mm-hmm. That'd be fun with a crowd. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So I think Wonder Woman would be, I think the experience that movie is meant for is a theater full of people.
Totally.
Now, I'm sure it'll still, I hope it's still good at home, but yeah, you kind of like a movie like that, you kind of want to be in the theater.
I wonder though if they're banking on this being the reason that people finally get HBO Max. Like, if you were on the fence about it, you'd rather spend that smaller amount of money and know that you're safe versus spending more money for tickets and schlepping somewhere and being on edge.
No, I think definitely they're looking at it as it's a win-win for them. Either people go see the theaters, or they hang on to or subscribe for the first time to HBO Max. There was a piece on Deadline a couple days ago about how Cinemark is actually, because Netflix and the big theater chains have not been friendly ever. Like to the point where, like, I think when AMC would do their, like, we're showing all the Best Picture nominees, like they didn't do Roma or The Irishman because fuck Netflix. Cinemark is going to be showing Christmas Chronicles 2 in some locations, and Deadline sort of interpreted that as kind of a testing the water to see, like, how will a streaming movie, or a movie that's currently streaming, play theatrically, as a way to see whether or not they want to, like, take the plunge on Wonder Woman 1984.
Interesting. Yeah, I'd be curious to see how the numbers shake out on that as far as who sees what. Just today, we had the breaking news that Amazon has picked up Coming to America. To America. This is the sequel from Craig Brewer. It was supposed to come out theatrically on December 18th.
Yes.
This literally just happened today, Matt.
No, that was already...
No.
It was announced like in the last day or two, I think.
No.
I thought I saw it yesterday.
March 5th now it will stream on Amazon. But Paramount was going to put it out theatrically. Yeah,
they were all set to go, and now they have moved it over to Amazon. Are
you frowning at me, Matt? What are you frowning about?
I read, because I could have sworn that I had read that Amazon had picked up Coming to America 2 weeks ago.
I think it was just announced pretty recently. But then again,
maybe they just announced the release date, but
time is a wobbly thing right now.
It is.
Yeah, I mean, it's like what Sony did with Happiest Season. They were going to bring that out theatrically, and then they were like, okay, there is no theatrically, so Hulu can have it.
And I feel like a lot of people who maybe wouldn't have wanted to spend the money on Happiest Season because they're like, it's a Christmas movie, will take a chance on it on Hulu, especially because it's going to get great reviews, and it should, Now it's like, maybe I will watch that Happiest Season movie.
Yeah, the embargo lifted, and from the first batch of reviews, it's in like the 90s on Rotten Tomatoes.
I watched it yesterday. It's so fun.
Yeah, I liked it a lot.
It's really sweet. What else is happening? Oh, there's also going to be a 5th Scream movie, and it's going to be called Scream. So how do we differentiate it from the original Scream? This is so stupid.
How do you differentiate the 3 movies called Shaft now? Like, it's, I hate this trend. Like, why don't they just call it 5 Cream? I mean, it's sitting right there, for God's sake.
That was all over Twitter this past week. 5 Cream.
Yeah. So
yes, Matt.
The news today is that it's the March release date for Coming to America. A month ago, Variety had announced that Coming to America was going to Amazon.
Okay, I missed that until I got the date announcement press release.
Yeah, so. I got the thing today. Stranger Things 4 has some casting news, including Robert Englund is joining the cast. Freddy Krueger himself is going to play, per The Hollywood Reporter, a caring man who works as an orderly at a psychiatric hospital.
Well, that's on point for this show.
Who is in the psychiatric hospital? Is it a flashback?
He's recreating his character from V.
Is that it? Is it in the Upside Down, the psychiatric hospital? Is it in Russia? Yeah, there's not.
Under the Mall? I don't know.
Maybe. There's going to be a paperback version of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood coming out next year.
Yeah, the idea that that Tarantino signs a 2-book deal with this big publisher, and one of them is going to be a novelization of one of his own movies, and it's going to be published as a mass market paperback. That's like, okay. I get it. I appreciate it.
Yeah, so they're doing that, and then they're going to do the big, expensive, glossy coffee table book as well. But the fact that he wants like a trashy paperback version of his movie.
I got interviewed for a documentary a while back now about movie tie-in novelizations, and I hope it gets finished. I hope it gets seen because it's a fun premise, and they have I forget the title of it, but they have a Twitter account, and they're constantly like taking pictures of like their massive collection of these tie-in books, or that, if you grew up in the 70s especially, they're like, essential.
Speaking of new movies in the works, Spike Lee is doing a musical about Viagra.
Sure, why not?
It's based on an Esquire article called All Rise, the untold story of the guys who launched Viagra. So Spike Lee is doing an all singing, all dancing Viagra story. I'm
a School Days fan, so more Spike Lee musicals, please. I'm totally happy with that.
And American Utopia was amazing. So clearly he has an eye for that kind of staging.
No question.
So Deadpool 3 is in the works. And you know who's going to be writing it? Are Wendy and Lizzie Molyneux, who are the writers on Bob's Burgers.
Oh, okay. I saw the headline, but I didn't know who they were. All right, well, good for them.
Yes. And whoever does the Deadpool Twitter account posted a picture of Bob, like cartoon Bob, holding a plate with a burger on it. But you can see behind him like the crisscross of Deadpool's little, what are they? Are they swords?
Yes.
Are they sticks?
Katanas, I don't know.
What does he have? Matt, what are they? Okay.
Yes, so swords.
That will be really fun because I think that they really get the same wavelength as Deadpool as far as being meta and like the wordplay and the absurdity, but also the earnestness at the same time. So
has Disney said one way or the other that they're okay with keeping Deadpool an R-rated franchise now that it's under their umbrella?
Oh, I don't know.
There is a whole, it would be one of those things you could do it where every time he swears it gets bleeped and half his dialogue is bleeped, because then that becomes the joke that's funny, and then it's not funny, and then it's really funny.
Yeah, that's part of the fun.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Didn't we see that like re-edited version of Deadpool?
Oh yeah, Once Upon a Deadpool.
Yeah, so it can be done. It has been done. Sia is getting shit. Have you guys seen this?
Yes, it's one of those things where you see the tweets and you have to work backwards to figure, what are we talking about here? Yes.
Sia directed a movie called Music about a young woman who is autistic named Music. And she wrote the songs to go along with it. There's a whole album to accompany this. But Maddie Ziegler, who is a dancer in a lot of Sia videos, including Chandelier, I think she's best known for. She's done some other movies as well. She is cast as this young woman with autism. And so a lot of disabled folks are understandably pissed about this, that, perhaps they
cast someone neurotypical. Yes.
Yes. Is that what the word is?
That is the word. Yeah.
Okay.
That's why that Netflix show is called Atypical.
Oh, okay. Anyway, so it's an interesting conversation, that we have so frequently. We're gonna talk about Run later on the show, and Kira Allen, who is the young woman who stars in it, actually does use a wheelchair, and so that is a nice example of that working the way it should probably,
Yeah, no, I think this has been a thing where we've talked about gay actors and lesbian actors and trans actors, and like getting the opportunity to tell their own stories and play their own characters. We've seen actors with very I'm behind on my terminology. The Down syndrome, right? Is that okay? Who are playing, characters who are, dealing with the same stuff. So I see the point, and I haven't seen this movie, so I have no judgment on that. But I think the conversation is good because I think the next time this kind of story gets told and this kind of casting happens, that this conversation then encourages people to be more mindful about who they might give the roles to.
Well, the reason that it's news today, the trailer came out today, and people were, justifiably angry about this. And then Sia did not respond with a great deal of grace.
Oh,
she was a little pissy. And was saying basically like, how about you watch the movie first and then judge it? It's like, well, it's a trailer and it's out there for a reason to let people know what your movie is and what it's about. And as well-intentioned as she might have been with this,
sure,
she's going to need to figure out a better answer for that.
Yes. I mean, in a vacuum, that point, I think, stands in that, we've seen plenty of people flip out about movies before seeing them.
Yes.
I also, if I'm not mistaken, I think that Sia herself identifies as atypical when it comes to, I don't know that she's, I thought so. I could be wrong.
I don't know.
Anyway, so that is a thing that I'm sure we will be hearing about again in our lifetimes. Sure. Edward Norton did this incredible Twitter thread today.
Yes, he did.
And go find it for yourselves, you guys. Edward Norton's on Twitter. And basically the thrust of it is, he's analyzing why it is that Trump is fighting the election results and stalling on conceding. And it's not his ego, and it's not that he actually wants the job. He is trying to delay the inevitable prosecution that he will have to endure in a multitude of fronts.
He's trying to give himself a bargaining chip, basically.
Yeah. And Edward Norton is saying, as a son of a former prosecutor and as somebody who has played a lot of poker, and so it's this whole long extended poker metaphor as far as what exactly Trump is thinking here. So it's very good. Go find it.
Some of the best things I've read about this very subject are Edward Norton talking about poker and the historian Jared Yates Sexton, I believe, talking about it in terms of pro wrestling. And how he is doing what the heel does in terms of saying outrageous things just to rile the crowd up. But the thing is that Trump does that and then winds up believing the outrageous thing himself as the actual truth.
Finally, I will leave you with Harry Styles is the first man ever to appear on the cover of Vogue. There's this whole luscious layout of him wearing a variety of dresses and makeup and what are traditionally women's clothes and looking incredibly gorgeous. And there's always been kind of a Mick Jagger quality about him,
Sure.
And I think he's leaning into the really hot, sexy, provocative androgyny element of that persona. So
he's annoying the right people. So well done, Mr. Styles.
Alonso, you were talking earlier about gay actors and how they get cast. Did you guys see the news about Wentworth Miller?
Yeah, he doesn't want to play straight characters anymore.
Well, so he said he's not going to do any more Prison Break.
Yeah.
And then in the context of that discussion, he said, I'm just not going to play straight characters anymore.
Good on him. I hope that he has a lot of choices to not have to do that.
Yes. Anyway, so that's all I have for you in news. I guess we'll all just be home from now on, and so we can keep finding news and come back to you next week with more. I have nowhere to go.
And feel free to share your marquees with us on all of our social media accounts, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We are at BeFastAllDay at all of those. But thank you for watching. Like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/BeFastAllDay. We're going to start talking about The Queen's Gambit because it's so awesome. Of course, continuing our coverage of The Mandalorian. And this week, because our listeners demanded it, we are off the menu reviewing Sean Connery's Oscar-winning turn in Brian De Palma's The Untouchables. Have a good week, everybody. Take care of yourselves and each other. And happy Thanksgiving, right? We're not going to see you until...
Well, that's true.
Yeah. Have a good Thanksgiving, you guys, and stay safe. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.